Good evening, all you retro fans. ZX next time again. I'm really looking forward to this one because I've had a tiny little mess around, got a little bit more to grips with the next. I learned some good news that the existing keyboard code works. Hello Microman, got here in time, very good, well done man. I tried to post a funny tweet. I was trying to do it then while I was waiting for the music, but it got close to the music ending and I couldn't find the picture. I made one, a GIF. Oh, the music cut out, but I'll save it for next time. Yeah, so some really good news for myself. The existing keyboard code works, but quickly I'll show you a little summary of what I did alone today. All I did was tidy my code up because I don't like having it all in one file. So my main.asm is always going to be this. You pretty much never need to change that now. Of course, this waiting time thing might need to be eliminated one day. We might have to, in fact, that doesn't even go in here anymore. That goes in here. So I can literally copy this. Every single game I make, it will always be word for word the same. So I'm trying to make a template, in other words. But at the same time, I'm keeping my main routine very clean. Now, it doesn't really matter for a simple game because this is all nonsense really going into the game. It's only going to be a game. But let's say you wanted like 2 or 3 sort of sections of your program that were independent from each other. Maybe you had like a map view, or maybe it was an application with artwork and sound or something, and you might want to run them independently. So it's nice to section them out. And I also like having a nice clean main routine. So now this is acting as my main, and of course this is cleaner because it hasn't got any of this bloat down here. So it's just a start routine which we'll probably never use. That gets called from in here one time before we jump into this loop. And then when we're in that loop, which we stay in forever, it just calls update and draw one after the other. All simple stuff. Microman knows exactly what I'm doing there, but just in case someone watches this on YouTube, because I've got a feeling the next might get a little bit more interest. I might get some new viewers if I'm lucky. So yeah, you might have noticed check keys is there, and it's familiar turf. You watched the opener, yeah, you like it. Good, I'll reuse that. I didn't get a copyright, surprisingly enough. It almost sounds identical at the start, doesn't it, to the original? It could be the original, really, almost. But obviously, when the lyrics are supposed to kick in, it's a bit different. Can't have everything perfect for free. Yeah, I love that song. That's one that my brother used to listen to a lot when I was really young, but I still remember that one. A few others as well. I might try and find some old rock ones eventually. Yeah, so simple stuff. This is now our main routine, basically, and it just handles like everything. The player, like the background will be called in here, like everything will be, you know. But that's my plan. Tools is a little file I'm creating. It'll do stuff like random number generation. The wait routine has been put in here on its Todd at the moment. And I'm going to try, I'm taking a leaf out of Specchum's book. I'm going to try and comment it nicely like that with every routine I make in here. My danger is when I comment it and I'm talking complete crap, and I think I'm right, but I'm wrong. But I think this is simple enough to be okay. Player. Let's move directions because I've got a constant file now with true and false in it. May as well just put these in. Bound to need them. Close tools. Wife's dragged you outside. There could be worse problems. See you later on. Hello, Moz. How you doing, my man? I've made quite some good leaps and bounds, really. I mean, I've messed around just restructuring my code, as I was just saying there. I'm going to just finish off the summary there, in case I do get any new viewers, just running through the code a little bit. Of course, that's the position of the player. Its current direction, I'm using that. At first, last night, I was using that to decide which way to move him automatically. But now we're moving in with keys. But I still ended up having to use this because of the flip. It checks the direction you're going in. So I think that's the easiest way, is just to make sure we set the direction when we move. I've imported a bunch of sprites. It looks like a bunch, but actually there's only 3. I couldn't be bothered to draw anything really. At least we can test that out. Player update, we'll look at in a minute. The draw is actually the same as I've not touched anything. So if anyone doesn't understand that, there's a video previous to this where we did that. Check the end of that video out. Let's get down to it. This key cache I wrote months ago or weeks ago, and it works for the 48k and the next, which I'm so happy about. And that's it. So I've already called check keys here before we do player update, so I don't need to call it in here. It's going to jump, so at the moment it can't do anything after that. So I'm probably opening myself up to a bit of pain now already. I need to redo it all so it's not jumping every time. But I'm going to go with it for now and see where it takes me. So we're right back in familiar turf here. And one of the major problems we're going to have with this system is making better looking sprites. When you're on a specky, there's an excuse for crap looking sprites. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can only do so much with it. And with this, we've got all the colours in the rainbow almost, you know. We can do many colours. Let's watch it in action. I think it's ready to go. I haven't changed anything other than what I just did there. It's a bit big. I'm going to shrink that down so we can still see the code. Pixel art tutorials, yeah. Do you know, I used to be quite an avid pixel art drawer. I only ever drew small things like spaceships or faces or something like that, you know, like cartoon characters. But I know how to use the tools, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I probably will just learn how to import, because you can pixelize graphics now. You can like pixelize a photograph or a 3D model. So there are ways around it. And obviously with a 3D model, you can put a lighting effect in, you can put all sorts of things into it and then take a screenshot, pixelize that. Probably still need to go over it again properly with your hand. But what we've got here, I drew a spaceship. I mean, I'm hoping someone in the channel, maybe Moz, might be able to give me a better looking spaceship, but this one looks okay. And of course it can be zoomed. It looks really not smooth on my stream, I can see already. It's because I'm running in 20 FPS my stream. But on my screen here, that looks pretty goddamn smooth. And of course, I'm the one moving it. Although, yeah, it moves perfectly. I was pressing the wrong button. So another thing I haven't learned yet is how to do the background. I think I could do the background in the usual 48k method that I used to use. Yeah, good start already, isn't it, Moz? I was tempted to try and do Space Taxi like style with the 16-bit movement, but you know, let's get get a simple game done first, isn't it? I can animate this. As you'll see, I've put like a flame below it, mainly just to demonstrate the colours, but there is also another frame where it hasn't got the flame. So perhaps that's the first fun thing to try, because if I just change that to 2, so I need to come up with a way of pointing to the right sprite, and then in that loop, just point where I want to. Yeah, see, no flame. So a bit weird that the one with the flame is number 1 and then the other one's number 2. But yeah, got to keep it simple. I have a feeling I could just import my background routine. In fact, let's write one. Should be really easy. I think I'll create a class for it though. I'm going to tidy this up further. I've got one folder in the source, retro tools, but everything else is dumped in the actual source folder for now. Let's call it background.asm. So I probably should have just imported it. It would have been quicker, I think. BG's fine for background, isn't it? BG colors. I actually don't like using the word attributes that much. I just can't be bothered. Especially now we've got these sprite attributes where they're actually a different thing for the color attribute. You know, it's not the same. I would just call this colors itself. Put it dull and no flash. I'll just do it. I don't even know what colors this is going to be. But I think it'll be something like yellow paper and blue ink. Something like that. I'm going to try and prefix everything with the name of the class or something similar. I should use the what one is it called? LDIR for this, shouldn't I really? But I'm probably not going to. Maybe I should start trying to do that. It's going to mean I have to quickly look it up on the reference though, because I'm not familiar. But what we're looking to do is the color memory is going to be 5B, like that. I think in constants we'll have the screen size. Interesting though, it's different now, isn't it? Oh no, this is the 48K stuff as well. This is like the layer 1, as I call it. I'm not sure if that's necessary to qualify that, but there is a difference in the width. Layer 2 is like 255 width, 256 if you include the 0. It's only cells anyway, isn't it, really? So actually, let's just call it cells. $24, I think it is. I made the sprite in software made by the user Emook, and he's actually a visitor of the channel occasionally. He's a follower. Let me briefly show it on the screen, show it in action. I mean, I'm hardly able to do a tutorial in it. But I have figured out roughly how to use it. It's available on the spec next. That's where I found it. But I'll show you it now. Well, doesn't really make the text bigger. There, UDG next. It doesn't look like much special here, and it's not. You can't resize the window. You know, it's quite rough around the edges. You seem to have to save things. Like there's 3 or 4 different ways to save your work. So it's not ideal, but there's my crap invaders. Look, so you can see where I've made 3 different sprites. These came with it. Some of them don't work properly because they're my messing around. A lot of them don't work properly, but so basically, if I wanted to add another one here, I'd go. Yeah, I'd go to here. Yeah, you basically have to make a sheet. I'm still getting to grips with how the sprites work on the next, but it seems to me that they have to come in a sheet of 16 by 16 with 64 in it. It doesn't. Well, I mean, but then you look at it in assembly. I guess this has probably got something to do with BASIC or one of the game engines. But if you look at our assembly, you know, we're still in familiar territory of just pasting in these. Because the good thing about this program here is you can output, generate, and there you go. So of course it's only the top 3. But yeah, get yourself that mods. It'll take you a little while to, because it's a bit different the way it works. You can't right click to delete, which I found annoying after using ZX Paintbrush. But you know, this is tailor made for the next, so it is gonna, you know, all the palette requirements I don't really even understand yet, but this is all matching up with the next as far as I know. You know. So there's a sneak peek of my master sprite work. I mean, honestly, it took me a few minutes only. Obviously, I don't have time, unfortunately. I'd love to have time to do it. You know. Let's switch back to the code window. But that was a little shout out to UDG. Hey Vulcan. Good evening, mate. I gave you the pink diamond. Doesn't mean a great deal, obviously, but Little token gesture. Let's get myself back in line. What was I doing here? Yeah, you're special as well now, Volk. Been knighted. Knighted in the realm of retro coder. I'm just reading about using LDI to do the background, just instead of the usual way I do it. So I think I get it. If I just load HL at the start address, I don't know what DE is for. It's going to increment it. Probably don't even need it. BC is going to get decremented. So I'll just do screen cells times screen width cells. Hopefully it can handle that. I'm not entirely sure I need to worry what DE is doing. Load DEH. Oh, right, okay. That's a shame. DE is going to get incremented every time, so that's a bit of a bummer. It only would work if I had a full array of color of attribute cell. I want to just point one at it. Maybe there is a routine that will do that. Oh, what a shame. Might have to just write it manually. We're all special needs. It's a Vulcan of Night Law. What I found out is we're just going to, as far as I know, we use the background of the. You either have to use layer 2. I must be wrong here. I must be wrong. Because layer 2 you can have 120 sprites or something like that. But obviously if you use the 48K screen memory, you can't start putting in 256 colors per color values per pixel. But I don't care. I'm just going to get some sort of background color at the moment. I don't care as long as it's not black. It's going to have, I think it's something to do with tile map. There's something called tile map that I haven't even looked at yet. Oh, another thing, I've been reading the documentation. You've got multiply. There's an instruction mul, M-U-L. So you can multiply A and D, for example. And there, I did notice some other really cool instructions. I think it's on my phone, which is run out of battery at the moment. Hopefully it was the last page I was looking at, I think. Found loads of them. Anyway, I want to I want to increment HL by that amount. Shame there's not a thing like LDIR to do it with that. LA. LDA. Yeah, multiplication. But I was thinking about that. It will really help that. There's going to be loads of stuff you can do suddenly. I reckon. Couldn't really think of anything instantly. Stuff like velocity and stuff should be much easier, and working out like collision directions and things like that. I'm all over the place here. Why can't I do it? So I'm not convinced I even need that thing in BC. I'm not sure you approve. Too modern for you. It's true, but it's pretty goddamn fun. The reason being is because it's still very much old school vibe. Like, you've still got the restrictions of cells. Yeah, it is crazy the way they do it, but I like it. It's a new challenge, you know. But can you imagine? We might be able to make a game like Street Fighter 2 or something like that now, you know, like properly, you know, rip the sprites out of it and everything. Be amazing. My next one I want to try is something like Streets of Rage, but really crap version. A bit like the Mighty Final Fight, you know, with little sprites. Food related, fair enough. Everybody likes food. Have you ever played Taz on the Atari 2600? That'll be an easy game to make. Just doing a little bit of maths behind the scene. Slowly, I do apologise. Yeah, so basically, I don't need this B thing. I'll make B the colours. Oh, I hope that's possible. not some invalid. I've never seen that before. I have a feeling that's not going to be valid. Error. Line 11. Oh. Maybe it's okay then. Oh, good, it is. Worrying over nothing, guys. So if I load H, compare. So that should be enough to do all of the background cells. If it's lower than that figure, we'll jump back. And if not, we'll return. Perfect. So as far as I can tell, this should be a one-shot thing. So I'm going to put it in game start for now. Oops. Which is already linked up to work straight away. Wait, what am I doing? Cool background paint. It might just work. I'm totally unsure of what colours it's going to be. I just hope it's not all black. And it is. Damn. Fish is marinating. Nice. I'm just reading some messages. Pitfall, yeah, that's quite a fun game as well. Copy and paste is too modern for you, reckon. That's fair enough, mod. Undo. I remember ages ago when I first was learning Blender, the 3D application, and there was no undo. And I wrote on the forum, I was a youngster back then, I was in my early 20s, I think. And I was just like, how do you undo? I just expected there to be an answer like in 10 seconds, you know, Control Alt Z or something. And I was just waiting. And then everyone just started having a go at me for why do you need to undo? And I was like, well, I had a nice model I was working on, and now all the vertices are all over the place. And it looks like a sort of origami. And then they just lecture you about how you need to take your time, not click the wrong button. But now I look at it, there's a long list of undo. You can go back in a big list. Previously frozen coho. Teriyaki. Thing is, there's no need for unnecessary pain with IDEs, if you ask me. If I could have one where I didn't even have to type, and it just knew what I was thinking, I'd take it. I'd also have one that fully auto-corrected everything when it was wrong, you know. I wouldn't mind, although it would definitely take a lot of the satisfaction away. That's strange though, how this is all black. Because I did draw a background, the very first thing I did on Spectrum Next. I wonder if this works then, doing the border like the old way. I think it does. Like I've done it like I said, the very first one I did just only really had this in it. Salmon teriyaki. I've had a chicken teriyaki thanks to Curb Your Enthusiasm. Chicken teriyaki boy. Well, hey, at least we got a pink border. That's better than nothing. Funny we can't get all the way to the edge on that side. I think that right position, what I just stopped at, was 255 though, so we'd have to use the upper bit. Well, yeah, the other byte is completely somewhere else as one bit relating to the X. Oh, it's getting tricky. That's it, micro. I've got to remember that phrase because I'm probably gonna have to use it quite a lot. I think the Y one does have one as well. I just found out, but used much less often. EMAC. I wouldn't have a clue what that is. I'd think of iMac, and I'd cringe at the thought of it. So I think that the fact that I'm drawing is making it go black. I must have to set the background somewhere else. It's going to be a job for another day, that. I'm interested just to, if I don't full player draw or player update, does it now show the colours? Still a black screen though. Interesting. Definitely shouldn't be, according to that. Because I'm not actually sure where that black screen comes from. What's like initializing that black screen, keeping it black? Cheers, Micro. See you soon, man. Solid. Let's try and animate it then. So I've got Sprite 1 and I have Sprite 2. And it's the same thing, but a different frame of the animation with the thruster. It's very awkward here. It's quite different to what we did. I'm just trying to remember how I did it on the 48K. take yourself hard on your phone, Michael. I believe with previous 48k code that I've done, I believe that I kept the draw code quite small, and because of that I was able to do a compare. We used a frame number, we compared it to the frame number, and then we literally hard coded the loading of the sprite, which was in BC in that instance. This is slightly different, isn't it? I guess it's not really. It's actually probably easier. I just need to make sure HL points at the right sprite here. So I guess if I, like I've got set flip bit, and I'm not sure if this is like a common thing of how to do it on Next, but it's the only way my brain can think of it. So I should really comment it, because this one, you know, it's very specific. It has to be called right here, and it's going to output HL. You know, this isn't something you can just call from anywhere to set the frame. It'll be a start anyway, and we can, you know, I can make it more generic, hopefully, as I make further iterations of the code in later games even. I'll just put outputs HL with correct sprite during drawing. That'll do. Because the same can be said for these, really. And also, it's not good enough, really, that it only goes flip. There's other things that needs to worry about. Same with zoom, to a lesser extent. So I want to load A. We haven't got current frame, but I meant to say that earlier as well. Player is the only thing that I'm not going to prefix all the variable names. Like current direction, for example, doesn't say player direction. Change that to current anim frame. So hopefully super simple. Change that to anim frame, sod it. So I guess this should be called like load. Set's okay. Setting sort of implies I can set the frame using it, if you know what I mean. This is more loading, but of course I still can't do it in here without a conditional load though, can I? Which I can't do. Still have to create yet another. So let's call this load. Now let's call it set and then call these loads. I feel like there must be better ways of doing this than the way I'm doing it. Of course, we're going to start from 0, which is a pain because the names of them. You know what? Let's just start from 1. No, I'm starting from 0. If anything, I'll rename the sprites. All them are junk anyway. I was trying to avoid doing that because the output on that art program doesn't let you do it, so I'm going to have to always do that. But it does make sense because if you look at where I've got total and in frames 2, well, I want to say 0, 1. If it's equal to 2, it's 0. I just know from personal experience that it ends up you need to use a 0 so that these you don't have to take -1. Anyway, so that's straightforward, and I'm going to jump to it. Sprite 0. In fact, let's copy it. What am I doing? Right, there we go. So it seems to me like we're going to end up with all these. Like, I can't think of any other way. Let's make sure it works. So it should just show us the one with the flames, because that's the Sprite 0. Ah, I haven't called it. It's going to show us nothing. But let's check that. Yeah. Because I commented it out. There we go. And it's got the flames. There we go. So that's actually a big step towards being able to animate. In fact, we have just put the mechanism in to be able to animate. We just need to change that frame and work out how we want to do that. If you remember, there's a long delay between each frame. Well, not a long delay, but probably long enough for us to see a frame. So I think we could just change it every frame, for want of a better word, frame. Every loop through update, I should say. I'd love to use modulus because you could just keep adding one to that and then modulus it by this. Probably can with that multiply, I bet you can. I'll make a special routine for it. Sometimes I spend too long just worrying about the bloody names of things. All I want to do is change the anim time. Current frame. And the current anim frame. Can't be clearer than that. No. So add one to it. If it equals 2, it's too many. So we need to go back to 0 at a stage. So if it's less than that, it's okay. Well, I'm gonna have to put it into the actual storage. And if it isn't, set it back to 0. So I'm glad I didn't make another routine like with a different label, because I think that will do the same thing all in one. Okay, it should do it. Let's try it. There's always a worry if it happens too fast that we won't even see that it's changing. It's happening alright. Funny how you can see there's no delta time there. There's no what I call delta time. Like there's no time smoothing. It seems to me like that is depending on what my processor is able to kick out at the time. We need to fix this. There needs to be a fixed time step. That it doesn't look that bad with a flame like that, or even with animations of running. It wouldn't look that bad. But what will look bad is movement. You'll probably find that it's weird when you move. It really struggles to animate. It's like it can't do both. wonder why that is. Ah, because of jumping. I said that would bite me in the bum, didn't I? Currently, just to make it life easy for myself, I'll put everything above the movement code. That still won't do the fixed time step though. If you're working on a modern processor or a modern game engine, is all my experience was, you have to get something called delta time, and it works out how long it took to do a frame, and then you wait for the remainder of that time, so that you're always going at 50 frames per second or whatever, no matter what the CPU is. But God knows how you do that on this. I think it's a bit beyond our rate. We don't need to worry about it just yet. Because normally, if you're only coding for one specific system, they all have the same CPU, the same RAM. You know, maybe some of them do have different RAM. But in theory, they all run at the exact same speed. And I know they have switchable speeds. That would be another reason why you want to use delta time, because you'd be able to switch the CPU and the game would run at the exact same speed. I certainly will do that. That'll be something we will address pretty goddamn soon, to be honest, but not quite yet. I'm satisfied with the way it's animated at the moment. Of course I could come up with something better in here, you know, it just literally adds one every single frame. What else is there to try? We've looked at all the zoom and stuff. That would be a fun little thing. I mean, I'll just zoom it by 2 because I want to actually see a bigger sprite. It'd be quite a cool feature for a game if you start in and zoomed in for a spaceship game, and then as the game gets harder you zoom out and everything's a bit harder, isn't it, because there's more. Then again, that would be bloody hard, wouldn't it? It's a shame you can only do that's 2x magnification. It's not as clever as I thought when I was reading about zoom and rotation. I didn't know they were going to be fixed steps like that. I thought it was everything in between as well. In fact, I remember asking Microman about that on the Commodore, and he answered that they're fixed. And I was a bit, what's the word? Slightly disappointed at hearing that. And I can see exactly why, but we could probably have written our own magnification code in that case. It just doubles up things. It's not that hard, really. Well, I'm going to move him to the bottom of the screen. This is going to be like Space Invaders, so I'm actually going to make a fixed Y position. Alright, that was simple. I guess now is going to be the real fun thing. How do I do multiple sprites? Alright, that's good. He's in a good position. I suppose the zoomed in bit would be the hard if I wanted to make a hard level. I just thought it could be cool, like halfway through the level having it zoom in. I'm going to put it back though, I don't like it zoomed. Can't remember what this bit does, but I did know last night. I said it in the video what it does. It's nothing that important. And this one here, this says visible, and this one says that we are going to use this byte. So if that was 0, this would be either ignored or it would do the wrong thing. I'm going to try and just make one enemy. Later I'll be using an array of enemies. Whoops, I put that in the wrong place. And I'm going to copy all of it. Going against our retro philosophies. But nah, they're not my philosophies. And well, I love copy paste. Let's just prefix everything as an enemy. Conveniently, an animation of 2 is perfect for Space Invaders, I think. Right, enemy Y. Oopsie daisy. Is obviously not going to be let's call it EY. And we'll probably have to set that at runtime anyway. Yeah, Moz. Yeah, it's fun. Because it was either this or learn the C64. But I guess I was running into problems with running out of memory and stuff like that, and I read about the C64. It's a common pitfall, running out of memory. Also, the sprite scrolling and the sprite hardware. Apparently, if you use it like wrongly and a lot, it's really hard to draw anything, at any speed. And I've seen C64 games that struggle with that, where they're just dead slow and nothing. The keys don't work properly. Not to mention, that I do think there's a potential to sell games on the Next for a small price if they're decent games. I'm really excited about it. I know I don't sound it because I've been working all night. I'm not jumping around but I'm pretty excited internally about the prospect of this. But yeah, long way off yet. I might never be able to make a good game. But at the same time, I might be able to make something like Street Fighter or something. You just don't know. Final Fight would be epic. Like when I was at work, I had a visualization of how to do it, and I thought it's just that 16k movement along the X, and then the punch really isn't that hard to. The collision box just moves over a bit. I don't think it's going to be that hard, but obviously very time consuming, and the polish would be a big task, I think, and a big game like that. Well, I'm happy that the keyboard just works, so we've covered that multiple times already. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing, enemy one. Just prefix everything. I know I'm only doing the labels right now. Ooh, you see, here's a chance. We're going to need this for every sprite, but it needs to know what to check. Yeah, exactly that, Moz. I mean, you can churn out in one weekend a game in Unity when you know what you're doing, especially if you're good at 3D modeling. So you could, you've made yourself a whole asset pack of lovely looking models, and then you just pull it into your game by drag dropping, and you can make it an amazing game. But yeah, it's definitely a totally different market. I mean, I haven't bought a game in ages, but I don't really play the games anymore to any extent. Although I do want to start playing some of them games, like Civilization would be a cool one. I'd love to play that again. Maybe this should be going in tools. So I'd have to load A there instead. Let's try that. I think it makes sense. So now, set current running. Just see how that runs. Just make sure. I'm very sure it'll work. But yeah, it seems to be. Seems to be working just the same. Of course, with an array of enemies, that makes it just a little bit more complicated. Well, it wouldn't be. It'd be something like IX plus 5 or something. And the fifth one would contain the current animation frame. In fact, let's go to work on that now. So you wouldn't even have EX and EY. I'm thinking all the enemies are going to be in this array actually. At first I was thinking I'll do it per row. But instead it'll just have a row that it's in. So good old is alive first. X, Y. Do we even need the width and the height? They're all going to be the same, so no. Yeah, every sprite is 16 by 16 on the next. Otherwise you have to use an anchor sprite, which I'm not going to go into at all in this whole project. So this is like the equivalent of using UDGs almost. But it's nothing like that, but you know what I mean. I'm stuck to a 16 by 16 tile size anyway. Which simplifies that, so I'll just have the current frame number for now, and that'll do us. Put a little note. There we go. So I'll go back down here. I'm doing it in stupid order, but I'd already written it. Where was it? There. It's actually plus 3. Anyway, let's get back to the top. So, how many do we want in a row? Oh no, it's not even a row anyway, is it? It's the entire lot. Of course, it's a hell of a lot. There's 5. Let's just do 10 for now. Oops. I think I will just use my old trick there. Can't really think of a much better way of doing that. Just to know when it's the end. Yo, thanks Moz. Oh, that's a lot of bits. That jar is well full now. Look at that, yes man. That's bloody brilliant. Thank you very much for that. The reason I'm pausing again is I'm thinking, well really, I don't need 2 of these. I could use the same technique where I pass it in. Let's just change that name to increment and in frame. So now there's no naming conflict anyway. We'll make it take A, the current frame. And that's it. It's going to just change our frame. Interesting though, isn't it? It doesn't need to be in A at all when you're using the IX. Nah, let's just do it specific. I can worry about making it more generic another time when I know the system a bit better. So what we've got to think is A is basically IX plus 3, isn't it? See, I'm thinking I'm writing this in such a way that they can all be unique, but they actually are all going to be on the same frame of animation and everything if you think about it. Like they don't stagger their animation as far as I remember in Space Invaders. So really I should just have a global one, shouldn't I? I shouldn't have one for all of them. And yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So that simplifies that. And in fact, let's delete it. Let's delete it and do what I first said of just making a reusable one. I'm sure there's one in player. Let's put it in tools. Tidy up the notes later. I mean, it's as simple as doing that, isn't it? No it isn't. Not this time, unfortunately. And in fact, neither is that one though, is it? It needs to know which. That one might be right. Let's see. No. I'm going back. I'm I'm backtracking a huge amount here. Trying to think where I had it. The reason being, I need to come up with a way of pointing at these properly if I'm going to do that. I'm very sure there is a way, but I'm damned if I can get it straight away. What I'm going to instead do is just write specific code like this for each one so that I can make some progress. We'll change that though to that name. Okay, that's back to where it should be. So is that. I'll be bold and I'll just start working on the enemy. I think that's going to be fine. Back with the player. I don't think I need to change it anymore. I think it will work. And it's nothing new to me doing this copying. Unfortunately, I was doing it on the Specky as well, just not to this extent. When I say doing the copying, I mean using the same code twice when I could have come up with cleverer ways. I am going to have current enemy frame. We're all going to share it. Total frames, it can just use the same one as the player, it's fine. Alright, so finally it should at least be able to go through the frames of the animation. It's not going to be moving left and right with the keyboard. For now, we'll just draw them. I'll probably hard code their position to start with. So as you'll see in my note here, I have no clue why we select slot 0 there. All I do know is if you select another slot, the existing player, you can't, if you do it another slot here, you can't see the player. That's all I know. So I'm going to select slot 0 again. This is the first time I've ever tried to draw more than one sprite at the same time, by the way, so don't be surprised if it doesn't work. For now, I'm not even going to loop through. I'm going to just try and draw one of them, the first one in the array. So enemy draw will just load. What will it load? I guess HL. IX. What am I doing? There we go. Load IX enemies. Just looking at the first enemy. This actually doesn't want to be there anymore. Oh, I didn't mean to move to it. Damn. This has got mixed up. That's not meant to be. It's got to set the current sprite. They would all be different sprites. Oh god. They'd have a sprite ID. And that's going to be in here. I mean, God knows what to call them. Just call this one face. That's all I've got right now. We'll make a second one as well so we can test it out. Just call it Invader. They'll be more meaningful when we've seen the sprites. We'll name them something that means something about them. So the best way of doing that would probably be, we'll just put it hit at the end of each one. Oh no, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm very much all over the place. I'm actually going to store it in the first byte when we make him alive. So we'll change it now. What's this? There we go. I think it's updated the way that works. It changed. Is it dumb or something? What's going on with that? Sod it. It's not working. There we go. See, I called that anim frame, but it's the sprite, isn't it? It kind of gets confusing because I've got the anim frame counter. So IX is already pointing at the array of, it's pointing at the specific enemy we want to deal with. Let's copy it out of this. You know it works. It was simple. Sometimes I'm too much on the copy and I shouldn't have bothered. We haven't actually got a sprite 3. Shame. Shame we didn't put another sprite in there. It'll just have to be the same as the player for now. Should just be enemy set sprite. So of course it returns HL. That's what it's supposed to do. Yeah. Of course when it's dead we actually want to use visibility probably. Rather than just not drawing it like we were before. Worry about that another time. It's getting close to being able to work this. Let's make sure it's definitely, look, there's loads of player stuff left. Ix plus 1 was the X. Ix plus 2 Y. Current direction. It's tempting just to get rid of that. Instead, just take the reset flip code. I'm just going to call that flip and start learning that. I know it does do other stuff. Same with this visibility one and zoom. Again, if I put that to 0, I should be able to just comment that out. I'll get rid of it for now. Okay, that's looking a bit cleaner. Hopefully it works. Wait, I can just do load HL. No, I can't. So I guess I might as well put invader on one of them. They're going to need some positions. It's just a free. Oops. It only loops through once. It doesn't get to the others anyway yet. Might be ready. So enemy update don't do a great deal really, because none of this stuff's doing anything just yet. Let's give it a try. I have a feeling it won't work. Oh, it's an error. Label not found. Okay, I didn't include it. I'm not worrying about any order of these right now. As far as I know, you don't need to worry about the order in assembly when you include. Still an error. I thought, well, I would have fixed it. Line 13 of enemy.asm. Duplicated label. Ah. What's going on? I pressed delete and that came up. Definitely got a few gremlins with the IDE. Something else happened a minute ago. Right, it's booted. Is it going to work? Oh, hello. Okay, so it seems like I'm trying to use the same slot or something. That's quite funny. Interesting. This is what I feared could happen. I'll try slot 1 for the enemy. I fear that what will happen is now we'll see just the player. Whoops. Interesting. I can see the enemy, but why is it using the wrong sprite? Just out of interest, if I put that to 0 and put the player to 1, what would happen? It is interesting. I'll have to read what that slot does, but there's like is it ambiguous? Is that the word? The use of the word slot in the docs seems different to the code. This is written by someone else, a very experienced coder, but maybe he's used the word slot slightly differently to that documentation page that shows about sprites. Huh, that's weird. So it forces it to be the same sprite just by doing that. I don't get that. What if I put slot 8? My guess here is we won't see the player, but we will see the enemy. But that's just my guess. No, same thing again. Most odd. I mean, the good thing about this session is I've at least been able to control my shit with my keyboard. I have to figure out what this slot thing is exactly. I looked up that 303B in that list. it said something about register, something register. Was it next something? Next reg or something? Select slot 0, that's all it said in the instruction. That's before we do any of them sprite attributes. Sprite status stroke slot select 303B. Oh hello, I found another. Oh, it's the same document, yeah. A write to this port has two effects. One is it selects one of the 128 sprites for writing attributes via port 57. But I change it there, so why are they sharing it? Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, basically, from what I can tell from the documents, you call this to open up a specific sprite to start firing these things at. A big part of me wonders why you have to feed this in every time. But I guess that's just the way it works. I just wondered, do you have to do this twice? Because it says it can be used for two different things. I wonder what that'll do. Select one of the 128 sprites. It makes no sense. Why do you have to select the sprite and then put the sprite data in? Definitely much to learn here. Hopefully I can find some more working examples. Apparently there's a next Discord that I can join and there's loads of people waiting to help me, but I can't find it. I browse quickly, you know. That's really odd, that. No. I'm back at the exact same page on the docs that I was at yesterday and the day before. Doesn't tell you everything you need to know, unless you're already a genius, you know. This little beauty is what we're doing. One of the 128 sprites. Of course, 128 sprites is the limit of simultaneous sprites on the sprite hardware, isn't it? It makes no sense to me that. I could read that 1,000 times and still not understand it. I get every word, I understand it, but it seems like incomplete information to me. Like, where are these 128 sprites? And why do we then have to feed the attribute pattern data and everything if it's already got the sprite? How do we assign a number to my sprites? They're all just in, um, they're just stored in binary. How does the port know what number that is? I've got a lot of questions I can't find the answers to. It's a shame. I'm tempted to try looking at like a NES or Mega Drive to see whether it's the same as this or harder or easier. Master System looked very interesting, although that was bloody. It wasn't easy by any means. It says once a pattern. See, it says a write to this port has two effects. One is it selects one of the 128 sprites for writing sprite attributes via port 0x57. The other is it selects one of the 128 4-bit patterns in pattern memory. I don't think we use pattern like 4-bit patterns. I'm using 8-bit sprites here, so the M6 bit shows the least significant. Mate, I don't get that really, but that shouldn't matter either. We've only used pattern slots 0, 1, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. In fact, just 0, 1, and 2. Discord, well done. Yes, well done. Yeah, so I'll get my ass on there soon. I'm loading that up now. I mean, I'll try and battle through it on my own, but sometimes you just have to write questions to people if you've tried something over and over again. Once the sprite is selected by port 3, so we're doing all that, yeah. So As far as I can tell, we're not doing patterns. Five B. A pattern must be like their name for a 4-bit sprite. I don't know, but I don't think we're doing it. Funny because it says send pattern data in the notes. Ah, 5B. Alright, yes we are then. I certainly do need that mod. I thought that myself today. How good would that be? By William Tang. With illustrations. I've just gleaned a tiny nugget of info from reading it the 10th time. I can't finish the whole paragraph. Like there's 3 paragraphs there now, 4. But never get to the end in one go without just googling something. It's going on about the internal pattern pointer. Gets auto incremented. God damn. Perhaps I just don't select the sprite on there. Oh, the slot. Don't know, it seems pretty crazy. Grr. Slot didn't do anything, it seems. Back in the salmon again. I'm having a struggle here, to be fair. Sprite 2. That's what it should be loading, isn't it? Face. Yeah. And as you see, this is using Sprite 0 and 1, so it certainly shouldn't be the same. According to my logic, which is clearly not working. I'll try put this back how I found it, even though I know this ain't going to do it. Stupid. Why the hell would the enemy be the same as me? Like, what's the purpose of this? So yeah, it says you've got to select the slot before before you start writing the pattern data. Well, I've tried that. Why is that not, makes no goddamn sense. Player set sprite. It's nothing to do with that. Damn you, Spectrum Next. I'm gonna take a hammer to all of you. Destroy every last one of you. The hell the slot here says you can select one of the 28 sprites. 128. Why is it changing the flipping? I've kind of just had a penny drop in the mind. This must need a different slot. Do you know what I mean? Because it says once a sprite has been selected in port 303, its attributes can be written one byte after the other. Once a pattern has been selected in 303. Crikey. Oh well, so much for a fun session of just adding and actually having some stuff to play with. Oh yeah, I was doing that Discord thing when let's talk about next, baby. That's what that tagline should have been. I get 90% of how it's working now. I've got quite a good. I think what's happening is I need to, like, I'm setting this so that these attributes are getting put onto the right sprite. Put my back into my lyric. Think about all the good things and the bad. Seems to me like I do need to somehow select the slot twice so that it selects it for that as well. Because it says a sprite selected in 303. I'd say that is working because the attributes are getting set, like the position, all that crap. Interestingly, let's try just zooming one of them. I'm just going to zoom it on the X because I can't be bothered to change it. So it should be just the enemy bigger. And that has worked. So that's kind of proved my theory there. My theory is that this call to select the slot has only taken effect on attributes. and not the pattern data. Pattern data gets overwritten on both of them for some. We're still in slot 0, I think. So it says after you've done the attributes one byte after the other, Sprite can have either 4 or 5 attributes, yada yada. I know that bit. Move on to the next sprite, and the internal attribute pointer will move on to the next sprite after those 4 or 5 bytes are written. This means you can select a sprite via port 303, write the attributes. I mean, I tried to do that. How does it know when you write to that whether you're writing a sprite or a pattern? That once a pattern number has been selected via port 303. He used the word slot in the sample code, but slot could mean anything. It could be sprite attribute or pattern. I mean, we've proved it's the attributes. So annoying. Dead annoying. I'm going to try last ditch. Well, not quite last ditch, but I'm getting near last ditch. Try to do that. See if that does it. Do the same thing in here as well. No. Damn you. It's dumb. It's just dumb. Like, I'm telling it what sprite to have. I find that stupid, to be honest. Hopefully, I pray it is just me being stupid. Nah, see? Sprite 2 is definitely the face. It's this shit, isn't it? It says once, implying that you have to do that first. And this says you can select the sprite and write attributes for sequential sprites. We need to do pattern. I think so, Micro, yeah. But I'm trying to, this is the only instruction I can find. From what I've gleaned so far is, this is doing that, what you just said. And that allows me to do the attributes. It doesn't mention. It just says once. It's so stupid, man. I hate bad mouthing documentation. It only makes me look stupid. And I can only imagine the people who write it get frustrated by people like me moaning about it. But it's not that good. This machine is a for sale machine. It's not some open source project that someone done in their spare time. This is a commercial project. As far as I know, this is the only documentation for this. There is a manual. I need to probably just read the entire RTFM, It's back to the old days. I'm looking at it though, in, out, and the next registers. It's full of basic in there, and there is assembly stuff. But I don't know. I'll show you what I'm looking at. This is the chapter. But, I mean, Unity is a game engine. It's not a machine, right? So I can't compare it. And Unity is a project with millions of people chipping in around the world. I get that. But the reason they're successful is because they are beginner friendly. Yeah, that bit at the back is easy to miss, Micro. But it is full of basic in there, even that bit with the assembly language. There's loads of basic in here. It's like, come on, look. I mean, come on. How are we supposed to read that? Look, as I say, I don't like bad mouthing it. And I'm sure some of my bad mouthing probably does make it back to the actual people who wrote this. Or the development team in some kind. And I don't mean it as a negative thing, I'm just feeling a bit negative right now because I've been working all night and I can't just understand it. I've been sitting here for hours and I'm still failing to understand it, so I get frustrated. But that's not their problem. But at the end of the day, I might be a next purchaser for all they know. There might be another load of people like me. Just saying. Basic was the bridge, yeah. See, that must be where I'm going wrong. I know very little actually about the Spectrum hardware initially, and basic. I don't know anything about that either. So I probably am a bit of a stupid case. That's why I qualified it at the start by saying I know it just really serves to make me sound stupid. But I will get there in the end, that's the funny thing. I'll figure this out eventually. I think I've already nearly figured it. I just need to set the pattern as well as the sprite so that I can change the pattern. As you see, I already tried doing it twice there. Whew, it really makes no flipping sense that. You got the manual, did you, last night? Yeah, it's gonna be worth it. I mean, it's not like I read the whole manual of the Spectrum or a PC or anything, You can still make games without knowing every part of the language. It's going to be a lot more painful than if you do know every part of the language. And if you know every part, you're going to make a lot better game than someone who doesn't. For something like Space Invaders, it should be okay. I mean, here all I'm doing is trying to draw some sprites in it. It's like the most simple form of a game. It's all about opening that channel for writing the pattern data. It must be. But as you see, I've selected 0 there, done the player. I mean, we can ignore the use of this method I made, and we can just load HL Sprite 0. If I put Sprite 1 here, ignore that one. Load HL Sprite 2, and you'll see they'll still be the same. They'll both be Sprite 1, which is the ship, the enemy ship, the spaceship. And the reason for that, I believe, I'll just confirm that first. Yeah, the reason for that is only because I do the player first. I bet you now they'll be the face, both of them. No, actually, okay. I'll just try moving the player update up as well. Okay, that's confused me even more. Maybe saved me from going down a wrong rabbit hole though. Invalid rabbit hole. Okay, I thought that that would, because it changed the order of this slot opening, I assumed that somehow it was just staying open. I mean, I can't imagine why it can't. Why do I have to load it with a sprite pointer and it can't even use it? I don't know, my head's smashed to pieces from this. Thanks for the example code. You know, is it too much to ask for some example code? I'll go on a Discord before I get too much of a bad rep for slagging them off, because I'm not trying to slag them off at all. They're just too clever. They think everyone knows straight away how to do it. Even the example code, I mean, this was the example code. Select slot, that's all it said. When I say this was the examples code, someone provided me this after I sought help. Specifically, I was sent this to me. I have rewritten it, or I've moved it. It was just all in the start route. It was all in one main routine first. Yo, Emu, just the dude. Oh my god, please help me. If you know the answer to this, you're a legend. I, by the way, gave a shout out to your UDG software. So hopefully you'll find some new users of that. I'm certainly a new user. I've selected the slot. You're Chuck Norris, aren't you? On YouTube, Luke. Either way, I hope you are. Yeah, nice. So you'll probably recognise quite a lot of this. The comments are definitely all yours. So, well, most of them are. I get here, you've opened the slot. Here. like this says, and then you've fed it the pattern, and then the attributes. But I've now tried to make two, one using slot 1. But what's happening is, like the attributes, I can stretch just one. So this is going to stretch the enemies to on the X. Oops. Oh dear. Oh. Yeah, so I can see the attributes are working. And I can also move the player with the keyboard. But his sprite is wrong, his pattern. Trying to digest, cool. I'll put that in full screen, maybe that'll help. Currently I've actually not used that stuff below because that's just about sprite. Paste bin, yeah, of course I can. I mean, as long as I don't need an account for that, I don't think you do you? I mean, it's almost identical to two scripts. I just changed the slot number and the pointer of the sprite. I kind of somehow end up on Wikipedia searching for pastebin rather than actually on pastebin. Here we go. Okay. So I'm just going to copy paste player. Oh, it's horrible. I hope it's you'll be able to sort it out. I'm sure you will. I think all you'll need is player and enemy to be able to make sense of it, unless you want to be able to actually run it. And then you'll need the other bits. Shit, I didn't put any syntax highlighting. I do apologise. I rushed it. I've just read your messages now because I couldn't see them before. Oh, just the player bit. Sorry. Well, I've commented it. I've separated it quite separate. You'll find it. Yeah, the player works really well. Before I tried to add the enemy, everything was going smooth. I really love your software you made as well. At first, I could not get to grips with it. But that's what it's like with any software, isn't it? I kept trying to delete pixels with the right click. Yeah, so I apologise, viewers. This is yet another kind of boring one where I'm making very little progress. But it always makes the progress ones more fun, though, doesn't it? Yeah, you've done an amazing job with that because there isn't anything else that I know of. I had a quick browse. Yours was definitely the best one I came across by a long shot. More head. Was that meant as a text to the wife or? Thanks, Emook. I really appreciate you doing that. If I'd have known you were going to pop in, I would have kept a much shorter version that I could have sent you, a working all in one file one. Mm. Oh, the mug, yeah. Oh, okay. I'll check that out, Mook. Thanks. Did I do that with the glass then? No, it doesn't do it when I do it. Oh, I know. Oh, it's vanished. Wait. Oh God, it's empty now. I love it. Okay, I didn't even notice that. And shamrocks. Awesome, awesome. Much love in that jar. I think I was like kind of making progress where I was going to fix this eventually, but Emu might just save me like hours and hours of trial and error. I just couldn't understand the concept of the slot and where the document says you've got to load it twice. Yo, Mars, you nutcase. Dropping a dog head. Oh, there they go. Moz knows how to shake it up proper stuff. Cheers, man. I kind of don't want to fiddle with it too much now in case Ebook comes back and says, oh, you've just got to add this one line here. Head explosion. I love it. I'm going to try and get some, when I've got some time, I'm going to add like really funny ones in there. Spectrum related. C64. No, no more modern than that. It's got to all be pre 85. Drop a Dizzy the Egg in there. Is he pre 85? I don't know. It wasn't until 86 I actually got my computer. Never looked back. Yeah, unfortunately for Mook, there's a load of bloat in there now, which is my crap. Retro is my first name. Last name Dave. No. No, you see, I do appreciate modern things as well, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a retro car guy, to be honest. I can, if I could afford it, I'd have a brand new car. But I like to have one that's at least fairly modern. I don't like winding up windows and stuff like that. I mean, I can appreciate a good retro car if someone's got one. Don't get me wrong, they're sick. If I had two cars, perhaps that would be the way to go. One retro. It's the same with anything, isn't it? If you're going to have one PC, you'd have a brand new PC, but then straight after that, get the Commodore Amiga. I guess Commodore Amiga's too modern for most of you guys. You were probably already thinking, nah, I don't need them extra bits. Waste of money. I saw a documentary about the Commodore Amiga though. It was created by some guys, I think 2 guys, in a room. He didn't get the funding he thought he was going to get. I can't remember the whole thing, but basically they used massive breadboards, and there was like doors. It was like bigger than doors. Like say, imagine the height of a door, but 3 times as wide. And then there was like 5 of them, like a book, so you could open this, and it was all linked together. It looked insane, but they got it working, and because of that prototype, then they got the funding because it actually worked and drew all the sprites and whatever else it did. I'd love to be able to do that. I mean, I suppose I could add a bit of functionality to the player update method while I'm waiting around. Well, I was going to say like a firing routine, but that is going to need another sprite to know if it works. Okay, thanks, Mook. I'm trying to think of something to do without using any sprites because I can't. I don't know how to. I suppose it still would draw. It'd just probably be another another spaceship again. Well, I guess I'll try and draw all the enemies for a start. We're only drawing one of them, and that's very quick and easy. When we get to the end of the loop, see, normally I'd check if it was dead. I don't think I need to do that now. I mean, I probably do, but I need to set the visibility bit depending on whether it's dead or alive. But here I'll just check for the 255. Here, we always need a little length. It is here, yeah. Here we load the. There we go. Interestingly though, I still don't know how this slot works, but I guess it's going to have a slot of its own. So for example, I could say, I could hard code the slot. Let's read a Mook's message. Yeah, I've mentioned that many a time. It seems very stupid having to do that. I tried to do it in the initialization bit though, and it didn't draw the sprite. It went black. So I sort of figured that you had to. But I knew I was wrong. I said that many times. I guess I'll probably have to try another empty project soon and try and move that back into the initialization bit. Because I did find that mind-boggling why we have to move every byte of sprite data in on every frame. But it's insane how quick it was though. We've done a test without any delays, and it was insanely fast, even with all that. Oh yeah, so this slot would be IX plus 3 anyway. I've had to add an extra bit to my note because I'm frustrated. Well, I'm expecting to see 3 enemies now. They might be the wrong sprite. But... Okay, Mook. Would it help you if I pushed it to GitHub so that you could just run the entire project? Because it is already on there, but it's the old version. Yes, okay. I'll do that now. One sec. I've just named the update nearly. I'll get you the link. Thank you, man. I would have suggested that a minute ago, but I thought for some reason I just thought you wouldn't want to do that. Where's the next one? There it is. So yeah, I'm hoping to see 3 enemies now. And we don't. Oh, we saw a glitch instead. Oh look, funny enough, it is the sprite there. But the attributes are not changing. Like, it's... And the same thing is occurring at the player's sprite. So yeah, this approach is definitely not the right way. It seems like it's interfering with the player's attributes and everything there. And also the enemy, they should be in a different position there. So something to do with the slot, perhaps. Could be a complete back to the drawing board for this. I mean, Emook, maybe even easier for you if you could just show me like 2 sprites moving on the screen independently. I could probably extrapolate the bit I need from that. You know what I mean? Even if it was a completely different project. Something for you just found top of stack. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was always wondering about that micro as well. Oh, thanks, Mook. That would be much better, thank you. Because that's what I was struggling with. I got your example of how to draw it, and that worked great, you know. But when I tried to even move it or change it in any way, I struggled. The positive news I found out today about this though is that the key cacher works, and I mean the background didn't work as I thought it did, but the border did. Whoa, thank you, Moz. No problem, my dude. Of course. I would have already been offline already if it weren't for Mook showing up. Yeah, thanks for checking out the rest in the morning. Thanks for the bits as well. Enjoy your son's birthday party. Make sure you're not too drunk. Have a good time, man. hopefully we'll make some progress. I mean, I'm running late on time here. I've got tomorrow off anyway. Not tomorrow, sorry, Monday off. Microman's got fish on the brain, salmon. It seems that this isn't the right approach, and it's probably to do with like what Emook says, um, pushing that data every frame. There must be a way of initializing the sprite patterns and then just moving them, and obviously changing the other attributes as well. So to anyone watching this, either on Twitch now or even if I've uploaded it to YouTube and you're still watching so far, I think I'm about to delete basically all of this and start again. Yeah, that's cool, Emook. I did think that. I've got that set up ready. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to move some of it into a knit. I just haven't put, because it was empty, so I deleted it, but I've got the mechanism already set up for player init, enemy init, or I'll call it enemy start, and player start. Actually, same thing. The problem is you have to open that slot. I guess that might work. Yeah, let's try this. So we open the slot and put the sprite in, and then in the update loop we open the slot and change the attribute. Let's try that and do the same at the enemy. So open the slot, put in the sprite. This one's a bit more complicated because there's more than one enemy. But let's put it back to slot 1. Just have one enemy. Let's not jump back. Let's return. I'll comment that out. It's not unnecessary now. Put the slot. Pop that in there. In the start routine of game. Enemy start. Player start. Right, so that should be the equivalent of having a sort of initter. But it's obviously what do you init and what do you do every frame that I'm a little bit worried about. But the bit I didn't already try was doing the slot there like that, and then also doing the slot, opening the slot before you do it. So I haven't actually tried this. It'd be cool if it works. Well, it'd be more than cool. I'd be ecstatic. I will be. I can't imagine it working. I've had so many failures now. No. So that stretch proves the attributes of being read separately. I suppose the position itself does as well. First steps in main. Well, it is, because the very first thing I do is call game start, and that calls background enemy and player start. Then it returns back and then goes to the main loop. Because of course it doesn't matter, you don't even have to have one called main really, do you? But Yeah, that's what I would have thought. That's, I don't know. It's so strange. Player is Sprite 1. Memory. I need a memory emote. Any good pixel artists draw one of them for me? Yeah, I'm a bit mind boggled because I've followed the guide as far as I could. You open the slot with 303B. You feed in the pattern data, this is called, and then you open the slot and you feed in all of them bytes of attribute data. Just can't imagine why they have the same sprite when I clearly say a different sprite there. Slot 0, slot 1, slot 10. Try. I'll get there in the end, but it's going to take me a lot of trial and error, I think. Oh, I can't imagine why it's doing that. Um, I think so, Micro, yeah, but isn't this, I think I do that here. I've, my head's screwed up from it because I know these attributes are working. They're working fine. The sprite is up there in the right position. He gets stretched as I expected, and I can move my other player with my keyboard, which is what that script says to do. The weird thing is the sprite pointer thing. I mean, the good thing about what I've just done is I'm no longer doing that every frame. It's still working, and it's done in it now. So I'll at least push that to GitHub again. Because that's a lot better than it was a minute ago. In fact, now I'm doing that, let's try and do the enemy with all three of them in there. I'm not sure either, Micro. I'm completely, yeah, no problem though. I'm completely trialing and erroring at the moment. It seems to me that you have, well, of course, when I've drawn the player and then I've done the enemy, I've switched to slot 1. So of course I've got to switch back to slot 0 to do the player again. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be taking effect every time. Like right now we should see, no, actually I've done that wrong. But we should see, if I remove that return, we should see 3 enemies now. All in slightly different X positions. To make it even bigger. Yeah, I get upset with myself when I can't make the progress. It's a shame. Whoa! Thank you, Emook. Good subscription. I've never seen that. I don't know where that came from. Oh, Microman. Well done, man. Glad to get Emook on board. Recap on the slots. Yeah, thank you. That would be a good thing to do. Ah, see, I've lost my enemy now. I've tried to draw 3 of them. But yeah. I wonder why it looks so different from a normal sub. But thanks for doing that, Micro, yeah. Cool, I only need one more sub now to get a new emote. Actually, you've given 2. Oh, I can do a new emote now. Thank you, dude. That's epic. I'm so happy with that. Yeah, I mean, my version of a recap with the slots is I do it in initialize. Yeah, I kind of get that. There's 128 in there in total in the FPGA or whatever it's called. But yeah, keep going. Try this thing on screen. Yeah, because I've been reading this many times. But carry on, please, because you'll probably tell me the one bit I'm not getting in my head. Default is 8-bit, good, because I only intend to use 8-bit. Even though I'll probably use sprites that could be squeezed into 4-bit. But I just want to use 8-bit. Okay, yeah. Which is this part here, yeah. After opening the slot. Then, okay. Wait. Okay. I wonder if it's just being backwards then. If I've just done it backwards. See, when you want to control the sprite, okay. Yeah. That's basically what I'm doing now in the draw, what I call draw, but it shouldn't be called draw. So I'm moving it and stuff. So I've opened the slot. Is that opening the slot layer? Yeah. That's that part. But it still doesn't seem to work, unfortunately. I'm going to go back to just one enemy as well. Popping back to one enemy. I've just, because that, you said then, didn't you? You see, you said you upload the sprite and then assign a slot. That's where I've gone wrong, because I was opening a slot and then assigning the sprite. Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you, man. Oh look, they're both hip. They're both the face now, which is obviously wrong. That was because all I did there was move it up and down. How interesting. Weird. I'm so stuck. Yeah, certainly you don't need to rush on anything, Emu. I mean, I'm going to bed quite soon, but I'll be as soon as I wake up, I'll be getting back on with this. So if if I did go offline, I'd still appreciate the text of the example, either via Discord or any other means. Yeah, that'd be brilliant, man. I mean, I've just found your Discord, and also you've got mine. I'll send you an email. Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks, mate. I'll send you it right now. I just called it Hi Emook. Thanks, Emook. I'll look out for it. I'll make sure I look out for it because I really can't wait to read that example. I mean, ideally for me, it would just be two sprites that are independent from each other. Hey, Dark Trancer. I'm bloody tired as well, actually, dude. Coding keeps you up all night, doesn't it? I'm desperately trying to do this slot. It's only that one thing holding me back. The attributes seem to be changing. Still hours left of the night till it's daytime. Vectrix games sounds pretty cool. They should re-release the Vectrix, but make it like way higher resolution. I suppose, is it even a resolution, or do you just tune it in? Like, is it infinite? Make it much bigger. Cool, that could be epic. A new Vectrix game. I guess that's all it needs is more memory. It needs more memory so that you can do like insane big games in it. Perhaps a slightly bigger screen. Was it? Yeah. I've seen people playing it, but I wasn't quite sure how it worked. It looks cool though. I'm surprised I didn't catch on more, especially in the arcades. Good emulators. Nice. I've never played one. I've played a lot of emulators, but not of that. The Vex, the next tricks. Imagine that. Vect Nex. I'm surprised there's not a video on YouTube like someone building a DIY Vectrix. Yeah, I'll probably end the video quite soon because I'm sort of now at the stage where I feel I've tried everything and I'm just randomly moving stuff around now. But if Emook's going to send me a little example tomorrow or in the next few days, I can make a logical video that's decent about it instead. I know Emook was working on an example for me for this, but I think he's put it aside. He might have put it aside, I don't know. It's almost there, this. I think one of the slot calls is in the wrong place or something. Just the pattern doesn't seem to go into the right slot. Even if it's not broken into sections, Mook, I don't mind. As long as there's two independent sprites moving around, that's all I need to see. The only example I saw so far was one static sprite, and I gleaned this amount from it, but I've probably messed it up completely. Well, I clearly have, but I'll put it on the Discord. I'll put it on there as soon as I receive it. Unless Mook does, obviously. 3D Cube, that sounds impressive. I watched a video the other day of someone who's made Doom on the 128K. No sound, but it looked pretty cool. I think it's quite an old project. I think Mook's on my Discord, or maybe he's not actually, yeah. If not, I will keep an eye out for the email. As soon as I get it, I'll put it up. I know it's probably going to be tomorrow now. See, in my head, I feel as if this is all correct, this update bit. It just changes all the attributes. And what I'm seeing on screen is what I expect to see in that respect. For example, I'm in the player now. Let's make him twice the size. In fact, let's make him 8 times the size. When it's dinner. By the way, thanks for them gift subs, Micro. I'm gonna design a really good emote for that. I think it's gonna be a caveman doing some debugging, but I'm gonna spend ages to draw a good one. I'm gonna try this. So I've zoomed the player in and not the enemy. Ah, it didn't do it. Huh. It worked the other time I tried it. Killing it with that recipe. That sounds nice. Is it like still pure daylight where you are then? Or is it night time now? Oh, candor in it, yeah. Cool. I expected that zoom to work that time though, to be honest. Stranger it doesn't. And if I zoom the enemy, Oh, there's too many bits there, isn't there? Oh no. Oh dear. And then it zooms both of them. Okay. Try and put the player back. Nice transfer. I'll take a look at that right now. Just want to see if this works first. Enemy zoomed and players not meant to be zoomed now. Okay, so that works, see? So the attributes kind of works. It's just that bloody sprite data. Slot. You slot. Let's have a look at Trance's demo. Is this your website, Trancer? Because I've got you on Twitter, L Breaking Program. Other guy. Okay. Yeah, I've definitely spoke to him on Twitter a few times. Oh, I get scared when I see that word. Gonna have to not get scared when I see it from now on. Poor, this is way out of my range right now, I think. Yeah, I'm sure it's amazing when you know how to do it, but when you're trying to learn from it, it's like, what does that macro do? With that said, maybe I can glean what I need out of it. I'm trying to see where he opens the slot. Probably a macro. Cool, that's way out of my league, unfortunately. I'd love to pretend I could punch at this weight. Truthfully, I'll try and read through and tell you what line I get stuck at. I mean, to be honest, line 1. That's some sort of option for the compiler. That's SJSM crap. Yeah, I will do. Yeah, I'm not so bad with linking up dependencies, and I do read through them and stuff and try and make sense of it. But sometimes I'm just like, whoa, because I don't always get the syntax of how a macro is defined and stuff. I have just never used them. That's why. That kind of makes sense to me now. So he's made a label, and straight away that just contains a macro. He's defining a macro. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing there. Yeah, but the word macro just seems. Because I've used a macro in C++, and it's like basically copy paste, isn't it? It literally copy pastes. I don't know. That's something I can learn about myself for sure. Because I've never even tried, so I'm sure I could look it up and step through the sort of learning on that. Lua. See, I've never used a Lua, a scripting language. Of course, I've used C# and Unity for scripting, and I've used JavaScript, things like that. I made a game solely in Lua, love using Lua or something, but didn't really get along with it. Looks bloody interesting though, whatever he's doing there. Oh, I think I've heard Moz mention that sign table in Lua. So it's like a script that makes a table. I get it. Okay. Oh, that is bloody useful, Mook. Yeah, I need to learn that straight away. That just makes everything more convenient, doesn't it? I'd say it does sacrifice some readability though, rather than just writing the loads every time. Yeah, it's like a copy paste operation basically, isn't it? Thing is, does sprite pattern have to be called sprite pattern if you use that macro? Like, where does it know? Is sprite pattern a constant? It must be. But why wouldn't it be all capitals? I don't know, there's so many questions. Where do I genuinely not stop understanding what's going on in this particular one though? Probably here, to be fair. Oh, okay, setting the clock speed. Setting the palette. Sprite pattern is a constant, okay. It's just weird that it's not all capitalized. I guess it's, I don't know, syntax. Doesn't matter, does it? I'd say that is genuinely where I first failed to see what's going on. I mean, I don't actually know what the semicolon does either. Oh, is it? It's just like a new line. Okay, thank you. Cool, I'm learning loads here. Must do, yeah, it's probably a compiler feature. I guess the macro is a compiler feature, isn't it? Makes good sense actually. I'm with you. Loads of times that I could have used that if I'd known about it. There's loads of times where it makes sense to have it all on one line like that. I'm trying to see where he opens that port on the 303B. Must be in one of the libs, like you say. Or maybe not. No, 303B doesn't appear in either file. These could be useful little routines to pilfer. I mean, when I'm less tired, i.e. tomorrow in the day, I should copy this into a new project and try and hack it to suit my needs. Because it would be lovely. I can't even see where he opens that slot though. He does have that routine to find the next available slot. So I need to look at when he uses that. Only one time. Interesting. So it seems that's where he opens the slot. But then this is only one sprite, isn't it? It's not drawing two sprites. I take it this just draws the one cube. I don't know. I'll have to run it another time. I need something that helps me draw two sprites. Something simple would be ideal. Well, pods tutorials. So look, would they be available? Just if I write like Spectrum Next pods tutorial. Spec bong. This looks like it could be good. I've never seen this before. Display background. This is brilliant. This is the sort of stuff I needed. Kick off your project. Add in a sprite. This looks brilliant. Of course, I'm just skimming through it right now to see what it looks like. I've got much to learn there because he's talking about the SPR format. That may be the problem. The way I imported the sprites, I just imported assembly. he's talking about actually importing SPR. If I could import an SPR, it would just already have assigned a slot, wouldn't it? Because an SPR has 64 sprites on it in a sheet. Ah, okay. Ah, here he's talking about upload pattern data to the FPGA 303B. Oh, here we go. This could be the goodie. That's basically what I'm reading now, but see what it says. It's not good enough to get. It's not good enough just to get it into regular memory, been done in the previous step. Perhaps I've missed that. I mean, that's just where this is in memory though, isn't it? Yeah, alright, whatever. Five B, 303. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now though, look. Slot 0, 303B. The only thing I can think here is that's 0 and that's 1. But I actually called it enemy start before I called player start. But that is only recent. I was just trying it the other way around. I have had it the other way. This is the way I started. But yeah, the very first thing that happens is I select 0 and upload the sprite. Return out. This then gets called. Select slot 1. Uploads the sprite. But for whatever reason, it puts the wrong. It ends up with the wrong sprite. Yeah. Obviously, I can take the zoom off. But that link you've just given me there, Dark. I think he's gonna. If I keep reading, go through it all without skimming through it, I'll probably understand it by the end. Yeah, like I say, I don't know. No, I've changed that a while ago, Mook. I'll show you the loops now. Take a look. So, in start, that gets called. In loop, it selects the slot again, but only changes the attribute. And that's the same for the player. It's more simple for the player because there's only one of them. But look, there's no like, I'm not pushing the sprite data there. It's crazy. I genuinely feel that I'm actually doing what the instruction says now. Like I said, I'll just have to write it again with a smaller project with less files. I only I only upload, if we're calling that the upload of the sprite data to 5B, I only do that once for each. Done that for one for enemy, one for player, and then it ends up in that. Because look at the main program starts, calls game start, then it goes down to this loop and stays there. So that only happens one time. Game start calls that one time. Yeah, it's close. I'm close now. Just some reason or another. Some reason or another, it doesn't hang on to the sprite data. Damn. Enemy should be a face. That's what Sprite 2 is. That'll probably have devastating effects. It'll move the player, I think, now. Just didn't do anything. It's weird. I'm just trying that because I'm thinking, is it even going to will that even change anything? Oops. Yes, it did lose it. What? Why would that be the case as well, look? If I choose slot 3 instead. Leave the code completely unchanged otherwise. Just make sure it's free in both the update and the initialize. Doesn't work. And then you notice there was no sprites were visible. Yeah, I've got to change. I'm gonna have to delete all this and start again, ain't I? Because now they'll all be both sprites will be visible. Is my guess. Yeah. Very, very weird. Oh well, I'll keep at it. I'll be definitely back on this tomorrow. I'm going to get myself to some sleep now. It's much later than I hoped. Sadly, didn't get too far in the game process, but like I say, as soon as I've learned to move sprites about on the screen, it's going to be pretty much back to standard, just making simple games after that. Hopefully tomorrow I'll come on and demonstrate what progress I've made. Hope you have a good rest of your night, everybody. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks everyone who donated bits or subscribed. Hope to see you again very soon. You can also find these videos on YouTube. Latest Dark Trance. Thanks for jumping in, man. Learning certainly is learning. I've definitely learned a lot here, but it's nice when you see some end product at the end as well eventually. Yeah, Emu, that'd be really great help from you. Thank you, man. I really appreciate your time and effort there doing that for me. Hopefully it'll pay off, because hopefully I'll churn out a few good next games in the end. I'm going to keep at it. So I look forward to reading your example. I can't wait to see that. Anyway, have fun. See you tomorrow or very soon.